Coleridge says, quote, "Every human feeling is greater and larger than the exciting cause," unquote. Every human feeling is greater and larger than the exciting cause. A philosophical way of putting Rochefoucauld's neatly expressed apophthegm, "Nous ne sommes jamais ni si heureux ni si malheureux que nous l'imaginons." We are never so happy nor so unhappy as we imagine ourselves to be. A proof, Coleridge proceeds, that man is designed for a higher state of existence. And this is deeply implied in music, in which there is always something more and beyond the immediate expression. But not music only. Every production of art ought to excite emotions greater and thoughts larger than itself. Thoughts and emotions which never perhaps were in the mind of the artist, never were anticipated, never were intended by him, may be strongly suggested by his work. This is an important part of the morals of art, which we must never lose sight of. Art is not only for pleasure and profit, but for good and for evil. Goethe, in the Dichtung und Wahrheit, describes the reception of Marie Antoinette at Strasbourg, where she passed the frontier to enter her new kingdom. She was then a lovely girl of 16. He relates that, on visiting before her arrival the reception room on the bridge over the Rhine, where her German attendants were to deliver her into the hands of the French authorities, he found the walls hung with tapestries representing the ominous story of Jason and Medea. Of all the marriages on record, the most fearful, the most tragic in its consequences. "What!" he exclaims, his poetical imagination struck with the want of moral harmony. "Was there among these French architects and decorators no man who could perceive that pictures represent things? That they have a meaning in themselves? That they can impress sense and feeling? That they can awaken presentiments of good or evil?" But, as he tells us, his exclamations of horror were met by the mockery of his French companions, who assured him that it was not everybody's concern to look for significance in pictures. These selfsame tapestries of the story of Jason and Medea were, after the Restoration, presented by Louis XVIII to George IV, and at present they line the walls of the ballroom in Windsor Castle. We might repeat, with some reason, the question of Goethe. For if pictures have a significance and speak to the imagination, what has the tragedy of Jason and Medea to do in a ballroom? Goethe, who thus laid down the principle that works of art speak to the feelings and the conscience, and can awaken associations tending to good and evil, by some strange inconsistency places art and artists out of the sphere of morals. He speaks somewhere with contempt and ridicule of those who take their conscience and their morality with them to an opera or to a picture gallery. Yet surely he is wrong. Why should we not? Are our conscience and our morals like articles of dress, which we can take off and put on again as we fancy it convenient or expedient? Shut up in a drawer and leave behind us when we visit a theatre or a gallery of art? Or are they not rather a part of ourselves, our very life, to graduate the worth, to fix the standard of all that mingles with our life? The idea that what we call taste in art has something quite distinctive from conscience is one cause that the popular notions concerning the productions of art are abandoned to such confusion and uncertainty. That simple people regard taste as something forensic, something to be learned as they would learn a language, and mastered by a study of rules and a dictionary of epithets. And they look up to a professor of taste just as they would look up to a professor of Greek or of Hebrew. Either they listen to judgments lightly and confidently promulgated, with a sort of puzzled faith and a surrender of their own moral sense, which are pitiable, as if art also had its infallible church and its hierarchy of dictators. Or they fly into the opposite extreme, and seeing themselves deceived and misled, fall away into strange heresies. All from ignorance of a few laws simple in their form, yet infinite in their application. Natural laws we must call them, though here applied to art. In my younger days I have known men conspicuous for their want of elevated principle, and for their dissipated habits, held up as arbiters and judges of art. But it was to them only another form of epicurism and self-indulgence. And I have seen them led into such absurd and fatal mistakes, for want of the power to distinguish and to generalize, that I have despised their judgment, and have come to the conclusion that a really high standard of taste and a low standard of morals are incompatible with each other.